Hi everyone, I wanted to go over the diagnosis of intellectual disability. First, I'm going to use our Allen Francis reading book. I think it's a good way to get things started about intellectual disability, and then we could go over that disorder in the DSM-5. So as we know from reading the chapter, there's a few ways an individual can be diagnosed with intellectual disability. There's mild, moderate, severe, and profound. So those are four different types of diagnoses under the intellectual disability umbrella. It really goes over the way you can be diagnosed with intellectual disability is based off of the individual's IQ score. The DSM-5, the cutoff is 70. So if the individual's score is below that 70, that's how they can be diagnosed with intellectual disability. It's that low score of the adaptive functioning. And from reading our books, we learn that. A few differential diagnoses. These are rules that conditions out. Those include borderline intellectual functioning, autism spectrum disorder, specific learning disorder, major neurocognitive disorder, and any other mental health disorders. A few tips for this disorder includes, like we stated, the IQ testing, error of measurement, IQ scores above 70. So even if it's 5 points up, you know, that could definitely make a difference. A few other things stated in our reading is the age of onset, relation to autism, and specific learning disorders. And then that's kind of where the book ends on that, because then it goes into the specific learning disorders. So really love this book. I actually purchased it because it's just an easy read and goes over all of the disorders very well. So I just wanted to kind of start off with it like very basic before going into the DSM-5. So for the DSM-5 intellectual disability, I can review really quickly with you what the definition is in the DSM-5. Intellectual disability is a disorder with onset during the development period that includes both intellectual and adaptive functionings. So those can be your social cues and things like that. So there's 3 criteria that must be met, which is the intellectual functioning, such as reasoning, problem solving, planning, thinking, judging, academic learning, and then learning from experience. And the second part is the adaptive functioning, which is failure to meet developmental and social standards for personal independence and social responsibilities. And then the third criteria is the onset of intellectual disability and the adaptive piece of it. Again, we went over the different ways that an individual can be diagnosed, which includes the mild, moderate, severe, and profound. So I wanted to kind of include this in the presentation. These, I always just love throwing like words on a screen, so I found this one for intellectual disability. I could read a few of them to you. It says intellectual, delays, behaviors, below 70, neurodevelopment, adaptive, general, child, low IQ, levels, and mental retardation, which that is no longer used. Now the diagnosis is intellectual disability. So that is no longer a diagnosis. With working in the mental health field, I do not like when I hear that word. I know some papers have that written. Like within the county, they still have mental retardation on their forms, and kind of like makes my blood boil. But I guess back then it was different, so I'm trying to like understand that piece. But again, it is intellectual disability. That is the diagnosis. So throughout our DSM-5, they made a cute chart. Here's like the book, and kind of goes over the different levels, which is, again, the mild, moderate, sorry if I could turn the page, severe, and profound. So that, again, is in DSM-5. If you want to learn more about the levels, that's on page 34, 35, and page 36. All right, so now if we look at a few of the risk factors, genetics is definitely one that can include a copy number involving one or more genes. So that's a chromosome disorder. So that could definitely be a risk factor and be a reason why an individual can be diagnosed with intellectual disability. Brain functioning, it could also be, so that's kind of the genetic piece of it. Another way could be environmental, alcohol, other drugs, anything kind of related like that in an individual's environment. So there could be two different reasons for the risk factors for that disorder. Let's see what we could go over with this. Okay. All right, I think that covers a good amount in the DSM-5. I also included a few slides that goes over intellectual disability. This is my first slide. Again, I just like to throw these words out so we could look at that. I have included an overview of the condition intellectual disability. So this definition was found from the DSM-5 Intellectual Disability Fact Sheet. So it states that intellectual disability involves impairments of general mental abilities that impact adaptive functioning in 3 domains. And those 3 domains are included there. I kind of broke it down for you, and this is everyday task, reading, writing, math, your memory, that's definitely one big component. And the other is the socialization piece. Can the individual communicate? Are they able to make friends and keep friends, or do they have difficulties with that? And then the other area is self-management, such as personal care, jobs, money management, and organizing. Organization is huge. So that's kind of just a brief overview of intellectual disability. I also have included the related videos for this disability. So there's 2. I have one video that I picked that's just kind of like, again, an overview. And then I have another one, it's a TED Talk with a parent that has a child with intellectual disability. So I thought that was nice to include. It is a little difficult to understand, so you really just have to pay attention to the parent on there. So I hope you enjoyed a little bit about intellectual disability, and I hope you learned a lot. And don't forget to look at the videos. Oh, and then one last thing I also included on slide 12. The first one is the Special Olympics. So it kind of is broken down to what is intellectual disability, services for intellectual disabilities, and some type of activities for the individuals to participate. So I included that, so if you wanted to learn more about intellectual disability, that is there. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the section for intellectual disability, and I hope you all have a great week. Bye.